What's up? What's up? We finally have some more Heta Uma on the channel, and today for this video, I'm only just going to be focusing on one book, because this one here is the Penguin Gohan or Penguin Rice by King Terry, the master of Heta Uma, and I showed this off in a manga haul video quite a while ago, but I didn't get to read it until recently. So now I finally read it, and I'm going to do a full flip through of it, although it is quite hard to understand what is going on in it because it does get quite crazy in here. But just to give you some information, this was created in 1976 when Minami Shimbo, an editor at Garo, requested for Itoi Shigesato, who is the writer of this manga, to create a manga. And Shigesato recruited King Terry or Teruhiko Yumura to help him draw the art for this manga. So King Terry goes by a lot of different names. King Terry, Flamingo Terry, Terry Johnson, and he was born in 1942. And he drew covers for Garo in the 70s and the 80s, and he's done tons of them. So this is just one example of them. I have shown this on the channel before, but here is a color chapter from Penguin Rice. So in this specific book here, it's not, this specific chapter isn't in color, but at least in this issue, it is, which is great. And a lot of King Terry's art style and work is influenced by Japanese and American pop culture. He's also said he was a fan of Sugiura Shigeru, who did like surreal nonsense manga, which I don't have any manga yet by him, but maybe in the future. And giving information about Shigesato, he is an essayist, copywriter, actor, game designer, a lot of different things. He's known outside of Japan for the Earthbound series in Nintendo, and he was born in 1948. Also, fun fact, he co-authored some short stories from with Haruki Murakami titled Let's Meet in a Dream, which I haven't read before. But an interesting about this manga here, Penguin Rice, is there have been multiple editions of this. So this one is in, it's an A4 size. So the first one was released as The Passions of Penguin Rice, which is this one. So this is the first ever edition of it. So Jonetsu no Penguin Gohan is the full name of it. And this was published in 1980 by Joho Center Publishing. And then after that, another version of it was published in a Bunko edition, which is like those very small. I'll show a size. Bunko size. A Bunko size is something like this, extremely small. Tankobon size is something like this, and then you have the A4 size. So there was a Bunko version of Penguin Rice that was titled Passionate Penguin Rice, and it was released in 1993 by Chikuma Shobo. And that added a couple of different illustrations onto what was shown here. And then after that, it's not Penguin Rice, but there's like another continuation called Goodbye Penguin that was published in 2011 by Hobo Nichi. So that's just some background information about the book. But before, I know I'm talking a lot about stuff and not getting into the book yet, but just for anyone who doesn't know, Heta Uma was never officially an art movement that began in 1970s with key forerunners being King Terry. You've got Ebisu Yoshikazu as well, Nemoto Takashi, and I've just got some examples of other people too who are Heta Uma mangaka. This is Goto Yuka, which I have shown on the channel before. And Heta Uma means bad good, so like drawings that are that seem, you know, a bit crudely drawn at first, but the more you look at it, the more you read, the more you appreciate it. And this is Axe, the spiritual successor to Garo. The cover of this was done by Hanakuma Yusaku, who is like a later generation of Heta Uma. who also published Ingaro 2. This is a chapter of Manga Zombie. So these are just some other examples of what Heta Uma looks like in all its different forms. And so now we get into, I'll just leave these over here. I'll show move it across a bit. We'll get into the actual book for today, Penguin Rice. So this is quite a big one, A4 size. And yes, the very first version to be published as a compiled book. So here are all of the chapters. So of course, here are a couple of different other names that King Terry goes by. And he's also, he has his own studio that is called Flamingo Studio. So all of these chapters here are relevant to the whole world of, you know, these penguins. But what we get straight off is we get a beautiful color page. And as I said at the start of the video, the story will be a bit hard to, the stories for each will be a bit hard for me to explain because it's so random and so weird a lot of the times. And I also will have to censor a couple of different things as well. And the first one is something to do with a detective going on a beach. Not exactly sure what happens there, but a lot of these chapters are quite short as well. But I am here for the art. The art is amazing. And this story is also quite a weird one too. It's looking at a family who teaches sexual things to another family that comes over. It's weird. It's so weird. This manga is like so strange, but I appreciate it so much for just the art, and it's also just the whole feeling of Heta Uma is a unique one, and it's one that I love so much. This one's a little bit explicit of a story. I'll have to skip over a bit, but it's, you know, you saw the penguin with the the dick. So that's where it ends off with all the color pages, and then we move into black and white here, where we get the titular story, Penguin Gohan, Penguin Rice. And it's about this penguin that sort of goes on adventures. You know, he fights some ninjas, rides a horse, meets some other people, I guess. It's so strange. It's really strange. But in terms of how rare this manga is, it can be quite hard to find these in the wild. It's because this was what? So this was 1980 that was published in. So at least for this edition, gotta skip over some things. But a lot of chaos in here, as you can expect from King of Heta Uma. But yeah, this specific edition can be quite hard to find. Bunko edition, same thing, I would say. But yeah, it's if you ever do find anything King Terry outside, do try to pick it up because it is quite hard to find. This was the chapter that I showed off in that Garo issue before that was in color, and this is just what it looks like in its black and white form. So I believe from what I remember, this one's called Home Drama. And it's kind of a really funny one where it's a family eating at a table, and the dad is very adamant on the children not talking about poop or shit, unko. And the children are definitely not talking about it, but he keeps getting angry about, you should not talk about this while we're eating. But ironically, he's the only one that's talking about shit. No one else is talking about it. The kids aren't talking about it at all. He's just making a big fuss that he shouldn't be making, which is pretty funny to see. The rest of the chapter is just going through the other family shenanigans, I guess. But yeah, it's such a strange manga. And this little panel here is really interesting. I think if it's like a bit gory here, but it's kind of appealing the way the Heta-Uma style of his is like presented with a gory scene like that. But yeah, also the designs of the characters, very crude, very simple. Faces are deformed at times on purpose. But yeah, it's an odd one. It's another chapter here. It's like about the father who I believe just has to, like the father of the family keeps getting replaced, and so the family gets like a new stepdad every day or something, to the point where the stepdads become just stupid, like robots and stuff, and it's just crazy. They're mourning a robot too. It's just out of this world. But to be honest, in terms of like the story side of things, I don't think it's I didn't really care about the stories too much. I was reading this more for the art and for the experience of just reading something that you wouldn't really find anywhere else, and also reading something that is very monumental to the entire movement of Heta-Uma. And it's such a important book, and I do very much appreciate it for that. But just for the stories themselves, I'm alright with it. It's not my favorite thing ever, but King Terry, always will love King Terry, especially his art. This is also like a weird one too. This is like a money robot as well. Stories are very strange, as I keep saying. But yeah, what I was saying before is that 100% love King Terry. A lot of his other books are quite hard to find as well. And oh, I forgot we had color here. His art books, extremely hard to find, and rare and expensive. So if you do find that, pick it up, because this is the only book I have from King Terry. I do have a lot of Garo issues that are with King Terry illustrated covers, and that do contain these chapters from Penguin Rice, but no other book at the moment that I have. But yeah, it's like, I wish I could explain some of these stories in more detail, but I have to admit they were too odd and too out there for me to even understand what was going on fully. This one I do kind of understand though. It was like about these aliens that would be communicating with Earth, but they accidentally squash a baseball player, and here he is, just dead. And also these aliens just have their no pants, so you can see everything. But yeah, it's weird one too. I'm using a lot of synonyms for weird and strange for this manga, but if you're into that sort of stuff, this one's a very important manga to know about, or to have. This one as well is space trips to outer space, and I also like this panel a lot. Just it's very like roughly drawn, but it does give very chaotic atmosphere to space, and I really like that. And then we've got some afterwords as well in the book, with some, I believe this is like, I'm not sure what this is exactly, advertisements, whether it's created by Yumura, something like that. To be honest, I'm not too entirely sure. But it very much fits with the whole aesthetic of King Terry. You know, again, very influenced by American pop culture, and the families as well are supposed to be like parodies of American like home life and families too. So yeah, that was, and this was, well, back then 980 yen. I definitely did not get this book for 980 yen. But yeah, that was Penguin Rice by King Terry, a very important manga for Heta-Uma. And so I would highly recommend for you to, if you ever do find it in stock somewhere, online to pick it up because numbers are dwindling. It is a bit hard to get, but again, there are two versions of this. You have the original 1980 A4 edition, and you also have the Bunko edition that is smaller but has more illustrations and also has more, I believe they had more color pages as well. So whatever you can find, I think you should pick up. This one was the one that I happened to stumble upon first, and I was very lucky to do so. But yeah, that was the video for today. Just one book, but it's still a very important book that I think people should know about and just should know just from the vibe of what's inside it, because it is very unique and very out there. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be back with another one soon. See ya.